So this is a speed run of how to change your life, and not in terms of like money, business and stuff. This is more like an internal spiritual side of things. I will make another video about like financial and starting your own business and things like that, but this video is purely how to change your life in 30 days. So I'm going to go quite fast, so you might need to either slow this down or just, pause to take notes and things like that. I'm going to try and condense as much as I can into what will hopefully be like a 6-minute video. So if you don't have 6 minutes, then you probably won't be able to do this because you need to dedicate some amount of time to this. Okay, so before we start, I just want to let you know that I do have a much more detailed version of this going into really specific steps, which is free. It's a free video training. You can just click the link in the description. It should be the first one you see, and you'll be able to learn everything you have here, plus download some notes and everything like that. So let's get into it. So the first and kind of most obvious place to start is the internal side of things, but the internal side of things, so like the mindset, beliefs, subconscious, that kind of thing, is very much influenced by obviously the external things, which they're kind of a symbiotic thing. They go together. I'll get onto that in a second, but first you want to set a very strong intention. You want to basically just decide that you know what you want to do. In this case, let's say you want to change your life, improve yourself, raise your vibrations. Just decide that's what you want to do, and then just kind of visualize like an image of you doing or living the ideal life that you want to live. It's very powerful, especially if you connect your emotions to this, and I find it very helpful to get like a Pinterest board, just bring up a load of images of the things that you want to experience or be, and then just keep looking at that board every day, basically. So you want to commit to the first 30 days. This is really important. You want to just basically decide that for the next 30 days, you're going to do this, and you're going to show up every day, even if it doesn't feel like much is happening. It doesn't feel like there's much change going on. You just need to commit to the first 30 days and see what happens. Okay, so like I said, the internal stuff is very much affected by the external stuff. If you're watching this and you're feeling depressed or unmotivated, or you just don't know how to start, it's much more easily said than done for me to just say, change your internal beliefs, change, how your mindset works. It's very difficult to do that, especially if you've been in a cycle of, let's say, depressive thoughts, anxiety, stress, bad sleep for a long time. And when you combine that with like chemical intake, bad diet, negative programming, plus your situation might be difficult. Let's say you have financial trouble or whatever. It's very difficult then to just snap your fingers and change your internal mindset. I get that. However, there's one very important thing you need to know, and that is the connection, the very intense and powerful connection between the external and the internal. As above, so below. So specifically with this, what I mean is that your mindset, feelings, emotions, beliefs, and really your habits and your kind of willpower, motivation, all that internal stuff comes from or is very related to your external physical things, like the physical movements you make every day and the timings that you do things, the time that you eat your meals and what you eat and everything like that. So I'm going to just do a kind of like a speed run here. Okay, so obviously I'm going fast, much more detailed in my free training, which the link is in the description, but let's just keep going with this. So really I just want to make this as clear as possible. I'm going to list a few things which I consider, after what is now almost a decade of research and experience with this stuff, the non-negotiable daily things that you have to do if you want to change, that is, and if you want to change as fast as possible. So these are kind of non-negotiable things. Even if they're difficult, stick with it for 30 days. And by the way, it's going to be a lot easier to stick with like a physical thing than to try and change your mindset, because that's a very vague thing. How do you know when you've changed your mindset? It's a very kind of generic, vague thing. Whereas with the non-negotiable stuff, you know for a fact whether you've walked 8,000 steps or not. You know for a fact whether you woke up at the right time or not. So that's why they're non-negotiable, and that's why we're starting with those, because you can control those. And by the way, I'm not going to go too much into the why behind these things, because that's really for the free training I mentioned, and this video would be too long if I did that. So the first non-negotiable thing, every day, 8 to 10,000 steps. And it doesn't matter how fast you take these steps. You can, do a power walk, or you can take longer and listen to a podcast, which I would recommend. All that matters is that you do 8 to 10,000 steps in total, right? Not in one walk, but in total for the whole day. Not actually that difficult. For me, it takes roughly 90 minutes. I don't go that fast, but 90 minutes of, walking. I would advise that you do this in the first half of the day, ideally after lunch, because then it's going to actually lower your insulin, like your blood glucose response to the meal you just ate, which is another biohack. So I'd recommend that you download a few podcasts, ideally something positive or uplifting, maybe even the audios of my videos. Shameless plug for my podcast, which you can find on Spotify or whatever. Download a podcast and just listen to it and just go for like an 8,000 to 10,000 step walk. Okay, do this after lunch or after breakfast, like first thing. It's good to do it after a meal because then that helps to like stabilize your blood sugar, which is a very important factor for things like inflammation and glycemic variability. Number 2, non-negotiable. Every day you will meditate for 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes. Ideally, you should do about 10 minutes. If you really want to get, if you want to kind of stack things on top of each other, you should meditate facing the sunlight. So the first thing in the morning, facing the sunlight, so that the sunlight actually touches your skin, helps you to synthesize vitamin D and things like that. And if you have a PEMF device, which is like a pulse electromagnetic field, you can strap that to your heart. This is quite advanced. I mean, not for everyone, but not necessary actually. But that will help to rebalance your energy system with the frequency of the Earth. It's known as the Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. But you don't have to do that. You can, in fact, just listen to a YouTube video that's tuned to 7.83 hertz. And I'll try and remember to put one in the description. And then obviously, sit up with your back straight, spine completely straight, and your hands on your knees. It doesn't have to be, some complex meditation. Just count your breaths or focus on your awareness. Number 3, the third non-negotiable thing is that every morning you will not look at your phone at all until maybe like 10 or 11 or lunchtime. And especially if you go on social media first thing, cut that out right now, at least for the first 30 days of this challenge, because that is going to massively improve your mental health. Your anxiety levels will go right down, your stress levels will go down, and you'll be able to start each day as if it was on purpose, instead of just reacting to whatever the algorithm pulls up for you. So no more social media in the morning, and instead do the morning routine that I suggest, which is meditation, gratitude, some kind of movement. I mean, I do things like the Tibetan rites and a bit of stretching. I actually do the foundation training, which is really, especially if you sit down all day long, if you're sedentary, it's very good for realigning the spine and getting good posture and everything like that. So foundation training, you can look these up yourself, right? Foundation training and the Tibetan rites. And then you can maybe do some stretching or whatever. So then combine that with like gratitude or journaling, and then really just spend even just 5 minutes just sitting down. And this is separate to the meditation, by the way. Just sit down for 5 minutes and think. Just consciously think about, what you're going to do that day, how you feel, how did you sleep, things like that. Just be present for 5 minutes. Okay, so they are what I would say are the non-negotiable 3 things. Every day you do those things. And then there's some things you can add on to that. Like, for example, you can, if you want to go the extra mile, you can take certain supplements. Now, I myself, let me just show you actually. Yeah, so I have a series of supplements that I take, which I break down into morning and evening doses. I'll just show you a closer look here. And the reason that I break them down into morning and evening doses is because the absorption, how well you absorb the things in the supplements is massively increased, almost doubled, by instead of taking 2 capsules in the morning, take 1 capsule in the morning, 1 capsule in the evening, because it just makes it easier to absorb. You absorb more of the stuff. I won't go too much into this. I do talk about this more in the free training, but basically I take vitamin D, omega-3, turmeric, magnesium, choline, omega-3, and sometimes a mushroom mix. Vitamin D tonight, and sometimes I take a nootropic. I vary this up. It might be Optineuro, it might be Alpha Brain. Sometimes it's just literally a coffee and L-theanine. So, but you don't have to take those. And in fact, what I would recommend, if you're going to get anything, is to start with a green powder. Let me just show you what I mean. So, a green powder. And I'm actually just going to kind of whip the camera around here and just show you exactly why this is so good. And by the way, this is not a promotion. I'm not getting sponsored or anything. This is just, I just love this stuff. So it's very cheap. It contains 78 ingredients and probiotics, antioxidants, minerals, proteins, herbs, enzymes, literally everything. This is a list of all the vitamins and stuff that it contains. And as you can see, I mean, I won't go too much into it, right? I'll put a link in the description to some green juices that I like. You can find it on Amazon, but basically, if you don't want to be taking, twice a day 5 supplements twice a day like I do, the green juice is a very easy way, because you literally just drink this once, put 1 spoonful in a glass of water, drink it, you're done. And then you have literally 78 vitamins, nutrients, proteins, amino acids, all kinds of stuff. So I would recommend that, as well as drinking more water. If you think you're drinking enough water, you're probably not. And that's very easy to do. You can just get get a little bottle like this and just, calculate how much you need to drink. I think it's about 2 or 3 litres a day we need to be drinking. So you can very easily check that. Next is your sleep. And I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. We're at 12 minutes now. Sleep is very important, as you know. Most people don't track their sleep, so I actually use a ring called the Aura ring. And this ring has little sensors, if I can show you here. I mentioned this a few times before, but I'll just show you again. It has little sensors on the inside there. And what that allows you to do is track your sleep, your temperature, your heart rate, and your movement, your sleep stages. And so basically what that does is that shows you where you have the best sleep, what time is best for you to wake up and what time is best for you to go to bed to get enough sleep. Now, this is obviously an expensive solution. This is like $300, but you can get a free iPhone app or Android app, which does kind of the same thing, obviously nowhere near as accurate because it's not attached to you. So it can't read your heart rate and things like that, but it will give you a good idea of how much sleep you should be getting, when you should be going to bed, and your sleep stages. Okay, so that was quite a lot to take in. I would say up until this point is the first 10 days. So you shouldn't do anything else except what I've just mentioned every day for the first 10 days. Now and maybe I need to split this into 2 videos actually. No, I'll try and cram it into one. So now you want to be looking up, researching things. I might even have a video on my channel by the time this is posted about things like shadow work and the internal limiting beliefs, things like that, insecurities, fears, doubts, the things we kind of push under the rug or leave for another day. You need to be looking at those and really tracking in a journal what triggers you, what makes you angry, what makes you sad, excited, happy, and these different emotions, and just really track them every single day. So every time you have a reaction, let's say you get angry or triggered, annoyed, happy, sad, excited, write it down in the journal. And then after about, it varies from person to person, but after about 10 or 20 days, you should have a pretty clear idea about what triggers you and what things you react to. You should see a pattern. And once you see a pattern, you can much more easily start to analyze that pattern and see, right, well, this causes this reaction. And you can ask yourself questions. Why does that cause that reaction? And by the way, at this point, day 10 to 20, you should be feeling pretty good. If you're doing all of these things I mentioned, you should be feeling pretty good already. And then now it's more just a case of keeping that going and then focusing on the internal stuff like the shadow work and the belief systems. I think I will end the video here just because there's quite a lot to take in, and this is YouTube. You're probably not expecting to watch a huge video. If you do want to watch the full training, it's like almost an hour, I think, explaining, in depth how you can do this and how you can raise your vibrations very quickly and effectively in as little as 1 to 3 months. Then please click the link in the description. It's free and you will be able to watch the training there. And yeah, I really would recommend that because, so some backstory, basically, I've spent almost a decade now, and recently I've actually kind of led a small research team to really drill down into various ancient cultures, ancient knowledge, personal growth techniques, spiritual principles and concepts to find the most effective stuff that really works. I've always, ever since I was a kid, loved the idea of taking things apart and working out, or learning how they work, what makes these things tick. And so I've kind of done the same thing with the human body and mind. And in this research, it's led me to a series of, the dots I've connected have led me to a series of concepts that are just undeniably effective for various different things, right? Improving your sleep, gaining muscle, strength, energy, willpower, motivation, and really just having more control over your emotional state, how you feel, and how much energy you have, how much willpower you have, and your stress levels. So it's a lot to take in. Please go and check it out. It's free. Like I said, the link is in the description. And I'd love to hear in the comments your favorite thing that I mentioned here and something that I've missed. So let me know in the comments. I'll try and reply to everyone, and I'll see you next time.